Hello and welcome back to another Q&A. This week's question, how to stop daydreaming about people I've not even had a second date with. It's a very, very good question. I'm going to just start off with a personal share and let you know that for as long as I can remember, I was having crushes on people, chasing people, obsessing over people. A lot of relationships were happening more in my mind than in reality. And I see this a lot with the people that I work with. So this is absolutely something I support people with. And there is quite a lot to say about this. And so I'm going to give you a hot tip on, there are several and it does depend on you as a person, but I'm going to give you one that I just think is really, really powerful. And I will give a bit of an explanation as well. But I think this is a theme I might cover a little bit across my Instagram over like the coming week. So keep an eye on that and I'll keep adding to it just in order to keep this YouTube channel like fairly short and things like that, because it's just the weekly Q&A. So like I say, it's very, very common that people will often be living in a fantasy, in a daydream, in imagination more often than themselves than in reality, but then they're out of relationship with themselves. So it is a protective strategy. A lot of people, maybe not all of you, but a lot of you watching this will probably be able to pinpoint that you've been daydreaming and having crushes and kind of becoming obsessive over people that are quite unavailable for a long period of time, even though it might be that there's one person right now that you're stuck on, or like two people, or like in this example, it tends to be maybe one day and straight away you're kind of dreaming up where this could be. So it's protective because a lot of people at some point in their lives, it was safer to live in their imagination than it was to be in reality. So it's a form of dissociating. It's a form of protecting yourself from feelings. There's a fear of rejection. So if you're having relationships in your mind, then you're actually protecting yourself from someone actually leaving. And you kind of get to play out how the imagination goes, right? So you get to daydream about the person that you currently can't let go of, about them coming back or them changing or them being how they used to be, or the new person that you've just met becoming the one or being the hook, those one or two things, one or two characteristics that you really, really want in someone. And we end up daydreaming about them and imagining them and almost like overvaluing whatever that thing is. So I could go into this in a lot more detail, but let's just put it this way for a moment. If you're someone who daydreams, fantasizes, crushes, worries, overthinks, all of those things, it is a behavior, it's a pattern that you're falling into, even though it's going on in our mind. And you're not stuck here. I help people with this. I'm currently, depending on when you're watching this, taking on one-to-one clients. If this is something that you want to work on, feel free to come and work with me, or at least book in like a free call. My number one wild, natural tip for me to give you just here, if we were working individually, it's not going to be so simple, of course, to just go and do this, because I know if it was that simple, many of you would do that. But if you have the capacity, I encourage you to fully connect with nature. I truly believe that when we come back into relationship with nature, we come to the present moment. And when we're in the present moment, it means that we're not having sort of hypothetical relationships with someone, or we're not getting stuck on what could be, should be, all of the fantasizing and the dreaming. So nature tends to bring us back to the current moment. Think of the times when you've been around water or a sunset or an amazing moon, and you're just like, wow, look at the moon. It brings you to the current moment. So connect with nature. I am one for putting my bare feet on the ground, earthing. So many benefits to it. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see me doing that regularly. I always am encouraging my membership, Follow Your Fire members, to do this, and people that I work with. Grounding and slow living is such a huge part, I can get my words out, of healing attachment wounds. I truly, truly believe it. It's one of the core pillars that I support people with when we're coming into that self and presence. So do all of the nature things, do the things that call you, even if you don't feel like doing it. Really pay attention to nature, to your surroundings, to your environment. And that might just give you a little bit of space, a bit more of a gap between fantasizing and daydreaming over this current person, and allow you to be more in reality, because that's what we need for you. We need you to be living more in reality than in your mind. But if this has been going on a long time, then you need to do this bit by bit, step by step. You're going to get pulled back into the daydream, and that's okay. You bring yourself back into the present again, and you might need to do that over and over again. And like I say, coming into relationship with nature can bring you into relationship with yourself. And it's just a really lovely, easy tip that I can share here on YouTube with you. If you have found this useful in any way, I do ask you to subscribe to the channel, to like it, to comment. My understanding is that YouTube likes that, and it means that I can reach more people just like you, just like me, that know the patterns of fantasizing, daydreaming, and that standing in the way of you being able to get joy from a current relationship, from being in the current moment, and also from having the kind of relationship, a realistic relationship. You know, when we have those fantasy relationships, we set these really, really high expectations. So that's my top tip. I hope you found that useful. Do not forget, you're enough, you're lovable, you're so, so worthy, and you're irreplaceable.